In a world where change is the only constant, the ability to see beyond the present moment is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Too often we find ourselves trapped in the immediacy of now, overwhelmed by the noise of the urgent, distracted by the fleeting. But the power of vision lies in its ability to lift us above the chaos, to give us a glimpse of the unseen, and to propel us toward what could be rather than what is. Vision is the fuel for innovation, the spark for transformation, and the blueprint for the future. It requires a mindset that is willing to look past today's challenges and see tomorrow's possibilities. Vision is not born in comfort, but in challenge. It often emerges in the shadows of uncertainty and whispers in the silence of solitude. It demands that we quiet the doubts and tune into a higher frequency, one where we can hear the call of purpose. Vision stretches us, forcing us to think bigger, reach higher, and dream bolder than our current reality suggests. It's the compass that keeps us aligned when the path gets unclear and the battles feel too fierce. The ability to see what others cannot see is a divine gift that demands responsibility. To embrace a vision beyond the present, you must cultivate the discipline of detachment. Detachment doesn't mean apathy. It means refusing to let the weight of the present distort the view of the future. You must learn to rise above temporary frustrations and fleeting emotions to see the bigger picture. Visionaries are not people who are unaffected by problems. They are people who refuse to let problems define their perspective. They understand that every great achievement was once an idea birthed in the mind of someone bold enough to imagine the impossible. Vision beyond the present also requires action. It is not enough to dream, you must do. A vision without action is just a wish of fleeting fantasy. But when vision meets preparation and determination, it becomes a force that can shift not only your life, but the lives of those connected to you. This is why vision must be nurtured, protected, and pursued with unwavering commitment. It's not about waiting for the right moment, it's about creating the right moment. Reinvention is not a one-time event. It is a continuous process of transformation that requires courage, humility, and intentionality. Life has a way of pushing us into seasons where the old ways no longer work, where yesterday's strategies fail to produce today's victories. Reinventing yourself begins with the recognition that who you are now is not all you can become. It demands that you release outdated versions of yourself, not because they were wrong, but because they are no longer sufficient for the journey ahead. Growth requires shedding the unnecessary and embracing the unfamiliar. The process of reinvention starts within. It's not about changing your circumstances first, it's about changing your mindset. Your thoughts, beliefs, and inner dialogue shape the person you are becoming. To reinvent yourself, you must confront the limiting beliefs that whisper, "This is all there is," or "You've gone as far as you can." Reinvention means challenging those voices and replacing them with affirmations of what is possible. It is a spiritual awakening as much as it is a mental reset, a realization that the power to change your life resides in the choices you make every day. Reinvention also requires embracing discomfort. Change is never easy because it disrupts the familiar, but it is within the discomfort that growth happens. You must be willing to take risks, to step into arenas where failure is a possibility, and to face fears that have held you back for years. Reinventing yourself means letting go of the safety net and trusting that even if you fall, the lessons learned will propel you forward. Growth and comfort cannot coexist. To become someone new, you must be willing to leave the old behind. Lastly, reinvention is not an individual journey. It is shaped by the relationships you cultivate and the environments you inhabit. Surround yourself with people who challenge your thinking, inspire your dreams, and hold you accountable to your potential. Be intentional about creating spaces that nurture your creativity and fuel your aspirations. Reinventing yourself doesn't mean isolating yourself. It means aligning yourself with those who push you toward the best version of who you can be. Resilience is the ability to bend without breaking, to endure without losing hope, and to rise even when the weight of life feels unbearable. It is a strength that cannot be measured by what you have avoided, but by what you have survived. Choosing resilience over resistance means embracing life's challenges rather than fighting against them. Resistance is rooted in fear and denial, a futile attempt to avoid the inevitable. But resilience acknowledges the difficulty and says, "This will not defeat me." It is a mindset that turns obstacles into opportunities and setbacks into stepping stones. The journey to resilience begins with acceptance. Resistance often emerges when we refuse to acknowledge the reality of a situation, clinging to the way things were or the way we wish they could be. But resilience requires us to face the truth head on, no matter how painful or uncomfortable it may be. Acceptance is not surrender, it is the first step toward empowerment. It frees us from wasting energy on fighting what we cannot control and redirects our focus toward what we can change. Resilience grows when we stop asking why me and start asking what now. Resilience is also built in the small, quiet moments of perseverance. It's not always about grand gestures or dramatic victories. Sometimes it's about simply choosing to keep going when everything in you says to stop. It's the ability to wake up and try again after failure, to press forward when progress seems invisible, and to hold on to faith when doubt is screaming in your ear. Resilience doesn't mean you don't feel the pain or frustration. It means you refuse to let those feelings dictate your actions. Every time you rise, no matter how small the step, you strengthen the foundation for greater triumphs. Finally, resilience is a deeply spiritual practice. It requires a connection to something greater than yourself, a belief in a purpose, a calling, or a higher power that sustains you when your strength runs out. Resistance isolates you, convincing you that you are alone in your struggles, but resilience connects you to a source of hope and a community of support. It reminds you that even in your weakest moments, there is a power within you that cannot be extinguished. Resilience is the courage to trust that the storms will pass, the wounds will heal, and the journey will continue. Faith in the future begins with a conviction that what lies ahead is greater than what is behind. It's a belief that despite the uncertainties of today, tomorrow holds promise, purpose, and possibility. Faith in the future requires us to shift our focus from fear to expectation, from doubt to hope. It's not blind optimism, but a deep-seated assurance that the seeds we sow in the present will yield a harvest in due time. This kind of faith gives us the courage to move forward even when the path is unclear, trusting that each step will reveal the next. To have faith in the future, we must first learn to release the past. Too often we allow past failures, disappointments, or traumas to anchor us in a place of stagnation. But faith calls us to let go, to forgive ourselves and others, and to embrace the possibility of new beginnings. The future cannot unfold if we are chained to what was. It demands that we open our hands and hearts to receive what could be. Faith in the future is not just about dreaming of what's next. It's about unburdening ourselves from what no longer serves us. Faith in the future is also a commitment to act in the present. It's not enough to believe that good things are coming. We must align our actions with our expectations. Faith without works is dead, and a vision without effort is merely a fantasy. To walk in faith is to prepare for what you cannot yet see, to build the ark before the rain, to plant the seeds even when the ground looks barren. It is in these acts of preparation that faith comes alive, transforming hope into tangible reality. This kind of faith requires patience and perseverance. The future doesn't always unfold on our timeline, and waiting can feel like wandering. But faith teaches us that delays are not denials, and that every season of waiting serves a purpose. It stretches us, shapes us, and deepens our trust. Faith in the future means believing that even in the silence, something is working on our behalf. It is the confidence that every step, no matter how small, is moving us closer to the fulfillment of what we were created to achieve. Discipline for the long game is the foundation upon which lasting success is built. It's the ability to stay consistent, committed, and focused over time, even when the results are not immediate. In a world that celebrates quick wins and instant gratification, discipline demands a different mindset, one that values steady progress over sudden leaps. Discipline isn't about doing what's easy or convenient. It's about doing what's necessary day after day to move closer to your goals. It's the quiet work behind the scenes that nobody sees, but everyone eventually benefits from. True discipline requires clarity of purpose. Without a clear understanding of why you're pursuing a goal, it becomes easy to abandon it when challenges arise. Discipline is fueled by vision, by the ability to see beyond the present struggle to the future reward. When you know the why behind your efforts, you are less likely to be swayed by distractions or discouraged by setbacks. Discipline helps you to stay anchored in your purpose, reminding you that every small action taken today is an investment in tomorrow's success. Discipline also demands sacrifice. It often means choosing what you want most over what you want now, delaying gratification for the sake of a greater reward. This requires strength, not just physical, but emotional, spiritual strength. It's the decision to say no to distractions, to persevere through discomfort, and to prioritize long-term goals over short-term pleasures. Discipline isn't glamorous. It's waking up early, showing up consistently, and doing the hard work when no one is watching. It's the grind that prepares you for the glory. Finally, discipline for the long game involves the willingness to grow through failure. It's not about being perfect, but about being persistent. Discipline teaches you to see failure as feedback, as an opportunity to learn and just to move forward stronger than before. It's the resilience to keep going when progress feels slow, and the faith to trust the process even when results aren't visible. Discipline is not a sprint. It's a marathon, a relentless commitment to keep putting one foot in front of the other, no matter how steep the climb or how far the finish line appears. Breaking limiting patterns begins with self-awareness. You cannot change what you refuse to acknowledge. Often we operate within cycles of thought and behavior that we don't even recognize are holding us back. These patterns, rooted in past experiences, fears, or societal conditioning, become invisible walls that confine our potential. To break free, you must first identify the beliefs and habits that have kept you stuck. This requires honest reflection, a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths, and the courage to ask yourself, why am I doing this? Is it serving my growth or sabotaging my future? The next step is to challenge those patterns with intentionality. Breaking limiting patterns means replacing old narratives with new truths. It's not enough to simply stop doing something. You must actively cultivate acts and thoughts that align with the person you are becoming. This involves speaking to yourself differently, reframing setbacks as opportunities, and surrounding yourself with environments and people that inspire growth. Breaking a pattern is not a single act, but a daily commitment to choose differently, even when the pull of the familiar feels strong. Breaking limiting patterns also requires grace. It's easy to get frustrated with yourself when progress feels slow or when you fall back into old habits. But transformation is not a linear journey. It's a process of progress, not perfection. Grant yourself the grace to stumble, knowing that every attempt to break free strengthens your resolve. Grace allows you to see failure not as a reason to quit, but as a reminder of your humanity. It keeps you moving forward one step at a time until the new patterns become as natural as the old ones once were. Finally, breaking limiting patterns demands a vision of what's possible. You can't break free from what confines you without a clear picture of what you're breaking free toward. This vision acts as your guiding light, pulling you out of cycles that no longer serve you and into a future that reflects your full potential. It gives you the motivation to endure the discomfort of change and the strength to push through resistance. A clear vision transforms the work of breaking patterns from a struggle into an act of liberation, a declaration that you are no longer defined by what has been, but by what could be. Unity and diversity is the powerful concept that our differences do not have to divide us. Instead, they can be the very things that bring us together. In a world that often emphasizes division, this mindset challenges us to celebrate our unique backgrounds, perspectives, and talents. True unity doesn't require uniformity. It flourishes when we acknowledge that diversity, whether cultural, ideological, or personal, is a strength, not a weakness. Embracing diversity means understanding that we are stronger together, drawing on the rich tapestry of experiences, ideas, and skills that each brings to the table. When we talk about unity and diversity, we also talk about mutual respect. It's about listening to understand, not to respond. It requires the humility to recognize that no single person, culture, or viewpoint has a monopoly on truth. To foster unity in a diverse environment, we must learn to value and learn from the differences we encounter. Respectful dialogue, empathy, and compassion are the cornerstones of true unity. It's about finding common ground while still honoring the distinctions that make us unique. Unity and diversity also calls for intentional collaboration. It's one thing to acknowledge our differences, but it's another to actively work together using our diverse strengths to achieve shared goals. In a diverse group, there is potential for creativity, innovation, and problem solving that would not be possible in a homogeneous environment. By combining our unique skills, knowledge, and experiences, we can approach challenges from multiple angles, leading to solutions that are richer and more effective. Collaboration and diversity requires openness and a willingness to learn from others, even if their approach is different from our own. Finally, unity and diversity requires a collective commitment to equity and inclusion. It's not enough to simply coexist. We must actively ensure that everyone has the opportunity to contribute, to be heard, and to thrive. Diversity without inclusion is merely a display, but true unity comes when we intentionally create spaces where all voices are valued equally. This commitment to equity fosters trust, strengthens relationships, and cultivates an environment where everyone feels empowered to bring their best selves forward. Unity and diversity is not a passive state, it's an active, ongoing effort to build bridges across our differences and work toward a common purpose. Legacy thinking requires us to live with an awareness that our actions today will ripple far beyond our own lives. It's about shifting our focus from immediate gratification to the lasting impact we will leave behind. When you think in terms of legacy, you are constantly asking yourself how your choices, values, and work will be remembered by future generations. Legacy is not built in the short term. It's a reflection of a life lived with purpose, intention, and the understanding that what you do today has the power to shape tomorrow. Legacy thinking is a mindset that reminds us we are part of something bigger, something eternal, and that every step we take should move us closer to a future worth leaving. Living with legacy thinking also means being mindful of the example you set. Your words, your actions, and your integrity all contribute to the story that will be told about you. It's not just about what you accomplish, but how you accomplish it. The character you display during challenges, the kindness you extend in difficult moments, and the decisions you make when no one is watching are the true markers of a lasting legacy. Legacy thinking calls you to live in such a way that your life becomes a blueprint for others to follow. It's about creating a pattern of excellence, compassion, and strength that transcends time. Legacy thinking also calls you to prioritize the long term over the immediate. The choices you make for the sake of comfort or convenience may not have lasting value. True legacy is built on sacrifices made today for the good of others tomorrow. Whether it's investing in relationships, nurturing the next generation, or dedicating yourself to causes greater than yourself, living with a legacy mindset means making decisions that will serve future generations. Even if they don't immediately benefit you, it's the deep conviction that what you create today will continue to grow long after you are gone. Finally, legacy thinking challenges us to leave a mark that reflects not just personal success, but collective upliftment. It's easy to measure our lives by what we acquire or achieve, but legacy asks us to think about how we contribute to the flourishing of others. The true measure of a legacy is not in the wealth you accumulate. It cuts you to touch the community you build and the opportunities you create for others to thrive. It's about giving more than you take, ensuring that your influence lives on through the positive few, the changes you've made in the world.